Hello, my name is Dylan Phillips. Behind me, I have Anjali, Kate, and Taylor. Today, I will be talking about basically kind of how a manual car works and just kind of how it functions. I can kind of talk about it because I've been driving a manual for over a year now, and the best way to learn about it is to kind of understand what it's doing and like how it functions. So, basically, to kind of start it, it goes the transmission, the clutch, and then the engine. And then in between the engine and the clutch is the gearbox, but we'll get to that later. So basically, when you press down on the clutch, you press it all the way to the floor. It disconnects from the engine, and then the transmission and the clutch are spinning at the same speed, but the engine's spinning at a different speed. When you decompress the clutch, meaning let go and let it out, it's basically clashing those three together, and it just kind of, that's how the car gets moving and everything. So when you go to start your car, you need to push your clutch all the way in, put your key in the ignition, and kind of turn it over. If it doesn't start, then that's for another video, but you just kind of starts over. And once you do that, before you let the clutch all the way out, you need to make sure that it's out of gear. So when it's in gear, technically, it means that it's either in first or second. That's when you turn off your car and then you just leave it in there. But what you want to do is you want to locate neutral, which is you pull it out of gear and then you move it left to right. That if it moves left to right, then you're in neutral. So, I mean, that's just kind of, that goes with the gearbox. Most manuals go up to 6 speeds. It depends, like you can have 3, it can be 4, it can be 5, and then the most is 6. So typically how it goes on older cars, reverse is usually in the bottom right. So, but with the newer ones that they've made, it's more you lift up on the gear shifter itself, and then you shift it to where first is or where sixth is. Just depends. Just kind of typically. So how you kind of get a car going is you throw it in first, put it in first gear, and you slowly let out on the clutch. Once you feel your car start moving, it's called the bite point. That's where you want to pause it. You want to pause it on the bite point. And then you can just push it back in and out and just kind of get used to that. Once you get kind of better at it, depending on what car you have, for mine, I have a V6, it's a Mustang. I have to give it a little bit of gas and then let out on the clutch to find the bite point so it doesn't kill the car, meaning it'll like chuck it forward and then it dies. Another reason of not to leave it in gear when you start your car and release your clutch is, like I just said, it'll kill the car. It'll rock it forward, and then you'd have to start everything back over again. Typically, when you're shifting, it's usually first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then if you have a sixth, that's typically the order. Depending on the speed, you can go, let's say I'm in first and my RPMs only go to 7. Okay, so if I'm at 6, then I can shift to third. But typically you want to go first, second, third, fourth, fifth, so you don't miss any gears or mess up your gearbox in the process. That's really typically most of it. I guess the hardest thing is definitely the stop and go. I suggest going to an empty parking lot and then just, like I said, just trying it, getting to the bite point, pushing it back in, or just getting to the bite point and just letting go, and then like stop and go and stop and go. Like that's gonna be the hardest part. Shifting gears, typically, each car is gonna be a little different, but when you're going, you want to press the clutch in all the way. So if you don't press it in all the way, you can start burning your clutch. That's not a good thing, because the more you burn it, the less life it has. So you're gonna push all the way in. You're gonna pull it. Let's say I'm in first. I'm gonna pull it down and to the left, that's second, and then I'm gonna slowly come out on the clutch, give it a little bit of gas, depending, again, just depends on the car and what the clutch does, and then you basically shift and it goes up. It gets easier because the RPMs don't have to fall as much. But yeah, that's basically it.